Call to order.
Please bow your head. Father God, we thank you for another day. We thank you for our health and our strength. We thank you for watching over us every day. Father God, I ask that you guide us to make the right decisions. These things I ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Terry.
Councilman Turner,
Here.
Councilwoman Lambert is absent. Councilman Williams,
Here.
Councilman Boudreaux,
Here.
Councilwoman Cynthia Gray Chambers.
Here.
All right, thank you, Ms. Terry. Do you have any cards, speaker cards, number 5? Public comment period, no cards were given. Number 6, discussion, City of Gonzales employee MBA executive session. What's that, Council?
So we make a motion to go into executive session.
I make the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to go in executive session by Councilman Boudreaux, second by Councilman Tyler.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what exactly y'all are trying to do, what the actual reason for this, what information you're trying to acquire. But as I understand it, and I think it's very solid, the executive session is to protect the employee. Right? I think Mr. Davis contacted Mayor Riley and sort of discussed that. So this is about, the reason for the executive session is to protect the employee. I'm the employee, and I want this done publicly. So if I get a say on it, I want to waive that executive session. Let's do this where everybody can see. That's my thank you, Aaron.
Okay. You won't it public? Let's roll. Any questions? Whatever questions y'all have? Yes, sir.
So, my understanding is that, so you want to have.
I insist on having it in public.
Okay.
All right?
Well,
Yep.
we can't really speak about this, probably.
No, you
You're in
can.
section.
You can because the protection's there to protect me. I don't want to be protected.
Yeah,
I want
get
this
it.
exposed to the light of day.
Yeah.
And I want everybody who cares to watch
Okay.
this stuff, I want them to have the ability to see this
But that's
circus.
fine. We'll
Yeah.
do it just the way
Go
we do
ahead,
it.
Council Member, if you don't mind, whatever questions you have.
Okay, first we gotta ask you, Mayor.
I'm here to gather information.
The protocol was not
sir.
followed.
I'm here to gather information.
No, the protocol wasn't
Are
followed.
you concluding that? You were there? Are you
No, I
trying
mean-
to gather information?
Can
or
we-
You already made
No.
your mind up.
The rule is when an employee gets in an accident, he calls the supervisor picks him up. and he
Where's
gets
that rule?
drug tested.
Cite that rule, please.
Well, that's been the rule.
Cite the rule.
Ms. Jandy, can we get you up here to speak? Because we're not gonna go back and forth with out of order meeting and things of that
When you
nature.
indulge-
You're a human resource.
You're
Can
making a
we
blanket
speak to you,
statement that the
please?
existence of the rule, I'm just asking you to cite where it says. What rule are you referring to? That's all I'm asking you to
That's
do.
the
Can we
protocol that
speak
we
to you, Ms.
use way
James?
forever.
And where is that written down, Councilman?
Coming up.
You've been here
Anybody
17
who ever-
years.
City protocol.
Okay,
I'm
and where
asking.
is that city protocol written down?
When an employee gets arrested, they used to call the supervisor, and the supervisor would take him to get drug tested.
Where is that written down?
Okay?
That's
That
what I'm
was
asking
just a
you.
rule.
And who made that rule?
It was a rule everybody followed, Wade.
When?
Every erected.
Is it written down?
Huh? Yeah, they do it now. If an
Is it-
employee in the city gets in a wreck right now, they call a
And
supervisor.
all I'm asking you is where is that protocol memorialized? Or we just made it up for the last 17 years? Before you started to exercise some actual oversight.
Too many actual oversight.
Oh, what do I mean?
Well, we can't follow the rule. You can't follow the
The
rule.
oversight I'm talking
Huh?
about is 2024 when you signed $1.4 million of checks to an unlicensed fence company. That's what I'm talking about, your lack
Now
of
you
oversight.
accusing me of something? You got
I'm
proof on
stating a
that?
fact. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I
Let me-
got all the canceled
Yeah.
checks.
Excuse me.
So now
You
you
signed every
you coming
one of
after me? That's fine. Come after me.
Excuse
I'm
me,
stating a
You and the
fact.
mayor can come after me, okay?
Excuse me.
I want y'all to,
Good.
okay?
Chief Jackson. You're the chief of police. Am I correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. What is the protocol for one of your men in a case like this? If one of them have an accident, is it standard to contact a supervisor?
On the police department side, it is standard that we, if the employee is involved in an accident, supervisors are notified, and at that point, they'll pick them up and take them
To be drug tested?
to the hospital to get drug tested, yes.
Okay. Mr. Wade,
Yes, ma'am.
did you follow the protocol?
I
Like
believe I
Miss-
did, yes. Where, tell me what the protocol
Did-
says in
excuse
writing,
me.
and I'll answer.
Excuse me, did you contact a supervisor at the time?
I contacted Mayor Riley early the next morning.
Okay. You're supposed to contact them
So,
immediately.
where are you getting that from? Where does it say that? That
It's-
when I'm supposed to contact somebody immediately? Because I went through the entire,
Ms. Janice, you want to come up and explain that? Personnel?
Good morning. So our policy does not state in this reference code, it does not state a time limit that the employee has to be drug tested. It does say that they have to be drug tested, but it doesn't say within how much time. So he had the accident the next morning, as soon as he told me about it, he went and got drug tested.
Is that standard procedure for all of your employees?
That's the procedure that's in
In
our
the,
handbook.
in the past, if an employee got in an accident or anything occurred, what has happened? Was a drug test administered immediately after accident? Did they drive the vehicle off accident? Did they leave the scene of the accident, or what occurred in past accidents? So if we're stating that nothing is in the code, that means we have precedent that has been set. So in past accidents, has the employee left the scene on their own, in the vehicle they had an accident in? Had they left the scene in?
Am I allowed to answer about other employees?
We're not giving specific names, so we just giving an instance to set a precedent, since we don't have.
I think what the council member is asking is, in what has been the city's procedure in past workplace accidents? Not necessarily a specific case or employee, but what was the procedure followed by the administration or HR in those instances?
During normal work hours, if someone gets injured, the supervisor's called and the supervisor does take them to get drug tested.
So they're not gonna wait 10, 12, 15 hours to go get drug tested, because I'm ex-chief for police dealing. I'm not a medical expert or anything like that. If you wait a prolonged period of time, I'm not saying anything was in anybody's system or anything like that. Couldn't time go by where your system can be clean, cleared, or if anything that may be in there?
Well, we operate by state law. When we're dealing with somebody that was involved in a serious accident or something like that, we have to secure evidence. We would have to make sure that person hadn't consumed any drug or alcohol from the time of the accident until, we test them. On the administrative side with the police department, I can't speak on the mayor's side of it. So, I would require them to immediately be tested and be in sight of a supervisor in order for this to happen. So I can't speak on that. I can't speak on the criminal side in Mr. Wade's case.
Has any employee ever left the scene of an accident?
Not that I'm aware of.
And if an employee did leave the scene of an accident, what would occur?
I will discuss it with Ray Rowley.
With accidents in the past, what have been the consequences that were served?
Pardon me?
With the accidents that occurred in the past, what have been the consequences or the outcome of those accidents for as pertaining to the employee? Like what occurred to the employee or what happened to the employee?
Since I've been in HR, there hasn't been any disciplinary action taken. If there's an on-job accident, we take them to get drug screened, and that's it.
Ms. Janice, what's the rule what's your protocol for when someone break the rule?
When someone what?
Your protocol for when someone break a rule? Any rule?
Well, we have 4 steps for our disciplinary policy. First step is a verbal warning, second is a written warning, third is suspension, fourth is termination. Of course, if it's something more serious, we will skip the first step and go, depending on what occurred.
With a written warning, if somebody receives a written warning, is the letter on like a city letterhead or it's just a blank letter? Like if somebody get a warning, reprimand, or anything like that, is it on city letterhead or is it just a regular white piece of paper people sign?
We have a form, a disciplinary action form.
Was that used in this case?
No,
It was not used in this case.
no.
Was that damage to the car, to our city car?
Yes.
And our city insurance is covered by our policy?
It would be self-insured.
So, Ms. Janice, anyone who have an accident or anything, they can wait till the next day before they consult someone, supervisor.
What was the first part of the question?
If an employee have a problem, like an accident or any other situation, breaking a rule, they have until the next day to report it to the supervisor.
According to the handbook, we don't have a time period. Normally, during normal business hours, the supervisor will call me and explain what happened, and I'll get the supervisor to take the employee to get drug screened, and then we go from there.
So since it was after hours, supposedly, that didn't follow, right?
Was this immediately attended to the next morning, like when you arrived, or did you have to wait?
Immediately. I got a text message immediately from Wade stating he needed to meet with me and the mayor.
What time was that?
It was before 8 o'clock.
Before 8
Well, it
o'clock?
might have even been 7 o'clock, actually.
Okay. And was he driven for a drug test?
He was not,
So he took himself.
yes.
To what facility?
May I, where we go, occupational medicine, where we send all employees.
Well, isn't it standard procedure that someone is supposed to go with you?
It is if it happens right after the accident. At this point, he had already driven home and driven back to work. So I didn't see the need for someone to have to drive him.
That's strange. Very strange. So if an employee, if it would have been a regular employee, that employee can drive themselves to be drug tested.
A supervisor is supposed to bring them immediately after the accident.
No, I'm talking about the next day. If it would have been a regular employee, would that employee be allowed to drive themselves to be drug tested the way Mr. Wade was?
Normally, a supervisor brings an employee to get drug screened
So why wasn't done in this case?
because so much time had lapsed. Normally, we do that in case they are hurt from the accident, we don't feel it's safe for them to drive, whatever the case may be. This had happened at 5:15 the day before.
But you're still supposed to follow standard procedure with a supervisor. And no supervisor.
Because in the reference code, it states that an employee sample testing shall be driven by another employee and shall not drive themselves.
And that didn't happen in this case.
Right. But I also did not make Wade aware of that because so much time had lapsed. I assumed he would be okay to drive himself. So that is actually on me. If I would have told him to get someone to drive him, he definitely would have.
That's not an excuse. Sorry.
I'm not trying to make an excuse, I'm just stating the facts.
It's not the standard protocol, is what I'm saying. Whatever we do for our regular employees, the same thing should be done for higher administration. It should be no alter in the situation.
Understood.
I mean, you know, if a regular employee violate the law in any way, there are standards, and they must be followed.
So is that the main issue here, is that he drove himself?
Well, the
Well,
main thing is that it doesn't seem like everything is being followed because we have, well, I don't want to speak on other things that's going on because, well, I'm not gonna say names. So we got other instances going on where employees are being given, being dock paid, different things of that nature for not following, if you want to say rules or ordinances, different things that I'm
sir.
speaking, I thought I was speaking to Ms. Janet. I'm
Yeah.
being interrupted
Yeah.
talking.
Ms. Janice, I have another question for you.
So, but we have other employees and stuff that's getting reprimanded because per se they're not following different rules, different regulations for it. They're getting dock paid, having to sign, what's the thing you said they had to sign? The an agreement or something if they get in trouble, or different things like that. So I'm with Ms. Cindy, like why it's not being followed top down? Because as in like what's with the accident that happened, what process are we going through right now to determine what I guess you want to say consequences or whatever you want to say from the accident?
The disciplinary action would always come from the supervisor or the mayor. I don't make that decision. And I haven't been directed. I think everything's still being investigated, decided what will take place.
Okay, Ms. Janice. Whenever there's an accident, to my knowledge, even when I have an accident, you always call the police. You know, a police is always called. We have the chief sitting right here, and I don't think he would let me get off with hitting somebody's car and not, you know, not notifying the police. So I'm saying that there is a proper protocol. A police should have been called. And Sherman, did you receive a police call about the accident when it happened? At the exact time that it happened?
I'm limited on what I can say because this hadn't been adjudicated. We did receive a complaint on that matter. My guys did respond. and then they investigate it, and then they issue the summons.
Okay, so a summons was issued.
Yes.
Okay, so if a police come, give you a summons, then that mean a rule was broken. And it don't matter if you're a regular employee or administrative or elected official, the rules still apply. I mean, the baseline is the rule was broken. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing a person. I'm not seeing a regular employee. I'm just seeing that the rule was broken. And that everyone should be treated the same, regardless. I would not expect any special treatment. And I'm sure any of these other elected officials sitting up here would not expect any special treatment. If you violate the law, you call the police. This was an accident. I wouldn't want anybody to hit my car and not call the police. I mean, this is, just my personal opinion. If you hit a car, the protocol is call the police. It don't matter where you're at. Whether you're at work, at Walmart, it doesn't matter. You call the police. They have a job to do. That's a city vehicle, and if it have damage, the city have to pay for it. It's no exception. And like I said, it's nothing personal. It's just that the rule needs to be followed for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
What rule are you referring to, Councilman James?
I'm referring to the rule of calling the policeman right now.
Where is that rule? If it's a rule, it's got to be written down somewhere, I'm assuming?
Well, I think if I go hit somebody's car, Sherman's going to issue me a hit and run. Correct, Sherman? If I don't call the police?
And he did.
Okay, well, that's what's going to happen.
Chief Jackson just said that has not been adjudicated. That's between myself and the court and the district attorney.
You're legal.
Pardon?
I say whatever you have to do legal, it's between you and the court.
Okay, so what rule are you referring to then?
I'm referring to the rule right now for a standard rule for the city.
Can you cite that rule so we all know what we're talking about?
Where the same rule that you use against every employee apply to you.
And which rule is
Every
that?
rule.
And I'm just asking, which rule are you referring to?
The same rule you use to discipline someone else if they break a rule.
Is there like a number to it so everybody knows what we're talking about?
No, I'm not giving any number.
So, is there a number that you're just not giving, or you don't know the number?
I'm saying if someone broke the rule,
What rule or has
it can be
allegedly
any
been broken?
rule, any rule. It just so
Okay.
happened this rule right now is accident.
Which rule? You say this rule, but you can't tell me which rule? Because then we can have a conversation about the rule you're referring to.
I'm referring to a rule of an accident. When there's an accident, you call the police, you call your supervisor.
I'll refer to the city attorney, or generally these rules Councilman James is referring to, would you expect that to be written down somewhere?
I would expect it to be written down somewhere. I mean, as far as automobile accidents, as far as whether or not the police should be called, I don't think that's a particular city rule. What is a rule is what happens after the accident. I think
Okay.
that's really the purview of this meeting today is not necessarily the hit and run accident per se, but what transpired thereafter.
Do you know what rule we're talking about? Can you give me a citation?
So what rule are we referring to?
I don't know. What rule do you think Councilman James is referring to?
I'm not here to speculate.
Okay. Councilman Turner was reading from one of the rules. I think it was 2-284.1. He just read from a rule on his phone. All right. And I think he read it, the last sentence is, any employee set for testing under section shall be driven by another employee and shall not drive themselves. Is that the rule? May I, if I could pose a question to Councilman Turner, is that where you read that from, Councilman?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, let's read the rest of it then. All employees under section 2-279, categories 2 and 3 shall additionally be required to participate in the substance abuse screening procedure if the employee is involved in an on-the-job accident or sustains an on-the-job injury. I could make the argument, and would make the argument, that this was not an on-the-job accident. Was it occurred after?
You are a
Maybe I
salary.
finish, Mayor?
Oh, no, you cut people off too, so I could cut you off too. So you're a salaried employee, correct? So
I am.
if you are a salary employee, there's no such thing as a timeline for you because you are constantly on
Okay.
call. Because as a principal at a school, assistant principal at a school, a CEO of a job, the mayor, everybody's that salary is on the job 24 hours a day. Mr. Roosevelt, you are a supervisor, correct? So if somebody call you at 1 o'clock in the morning, you have a job to do, correct? Yes. So as a salary employee, there's no such thing as a time. I have a work schedule. I'm as a supervisor or director over a department, I am constantly on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because I am a salaried employee.
All right, do you have a written citation for that, or is that your opinion? Or do you have some authority for that?
So if I
statement?
call Mr. Roosevelt at 1 o'clock in the morning and he does not do his job, what occurs?
Well, if Mr. Roosevelt's in the parking lot going home after hours and he's off the clock, what occurs?
Okay.
So I'm just asking a simple question. Do you have some written authority for that, or is that just your opinion? Or do you have a citation that you can give us so we know what we're all talking about, so we stay on the same page here? Let's read the rest of it. The term accident refers to any occurrence which requires treatment by qualified medical personnel, didn't happen here, causes injury, fatality, did not happen here, produces damage to property or material, which did happen here, and let the mayor know as soon as I thought reasonable, or interrupts and or terminates scheduled work assignments, did not happen here.
You say as soon as you thought reasonable?
Yes.
So the same way as soon as you thought reasonable?
Yes.
I think it's reasonable that a supervisor should be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because you're a salaried employee.
Yeah, you think that.
So you just open it up by saying, I thought reasonable. So therefore, my thought about that, same thing.
When did you
So we got a
con-
difference of opinion? Is that what you're
That's what
describing?
we're saying, that's what you're saying. Like I
Wait,
said, it came out your
when
mouth,
did you
not my
contact the
mouth.
mayor?
6:45 the next morning.
6:45 the next morning.
Yes, ma'am.
When you start work at 6:30.
Pardon?
You start work
I
at
do not.
6:30.
I don't punch the clock. As Councilman Turner just elucidated, I do not punch the clock. I'm available to the mayor 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
But you don't punch the clock.
I do not.
But you're getting paid 8 hours a day.
Yes. And I got called at 11 o'clock the other night. Whenever we get call outs, I'm alerted. All right. And I don't put in for 2 hours overtime when somebody calls me and does a 15-minute conversation, and I alert the mayor to all this stuff. And this is done at the mayor's direction and discretion. So what I would point out about 284.1, if that's what we're talking about, there are no time restrictions, there are no time requirements. And I guess from what Councilman Lugo said, the city's just been doing this stuff for years, at least 17, without any regard to the written policy, just making it up as we go along.
Oh, making
Is
it
that
up,
what I'm
Wade,
saying?
it's just the right thing to do. When
Says who?
somebody would get,
That is your opinion.
well, when you damage a city car, okay, that you don't own, the city owns it.
Right.
Taxpayers owns that car,
Right.
okay? Not you.
What does that have to do with the policy?
Policy is you
written
report it
policy.
immediately.
No.
It's policy.
Where does it say that in the
It
policy?
don't say it. It's the right thing to do.
You made it up?
Okay. I
You
didn't make
decided it's the
nothing
right
up.
thing to do?
That's what I would do, okay?
That's what you would do.
That's
Well,
what I would do out of,
Maybe you
yeah.
can change the policy.
Out
to
of
reflect
respect,
what
out of
you would do.
taxpayers' money, okay?
Taxpayers won't be out a dollar. Okay.
Because what a reference code.
Mayor, are we done here?
No, we're not.
Huh? No, I mean, you keep,
The reference code for two,
The
reference
pe-
code,
Hold
another
on,
reference code that we
Councilman.
have.
Councilman, hold on 1 minute.
wait, let me finish, Tyler. I
All
mean,
right, you good.
if I would hit somebody's car or a city, if I was driving a city's car, I would immediately call somebody and tell them what I did. Immediately.
Okay.
That's correct.
And even if it's off the clock or after hours, whatever, you are in a city car that is owned by the city of
What you
Gonzales.
would do is not the issue here.
Okay.
It's what the policy requires.
No, it's what you should have done, okay?
What I should have done and what I'm required to do are two different things.
So what you're saying, any employee could just go wreck the car?
Not what I
Yeah,
said.
just
And
drive
that's
off
it,
and-
just drive
That is
off?
not what I said.
That's what you stated.
What I said was
What you
what
said,
I should do.
because you
what I'm
shouldn't,
required
you
to
didn't do it, so nobody else should do it. So we set the standard here.
That is not at all
Correct.
what I said.
We're
I
setting the
think
precedence here
the
that anybody
standard's
can
been
wreck a
set.
city car
The standard has been
and
set
leave
for
the
years and
scene.
years. You have just ignored it for 17 years, Councilman.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Because you would want to
The
impose
other
what you think is the
supervisors-
right thing to do in front of what the written policy states.
A part of the written policy states the city council shall, after due consideration and deliberation, render a decision of suspension or dismissal. No further hearing shall be held, and decision of the governing body authority is final. A real reading policy.
And that is within your purview. And we'll see if the mayor decides to do it.
You want to read that again, Councilman Turner?
It states
Could you give the citation when you're reading it, so everybody's reading the same thing? Just a
Reference
second.
code section 2-285, due process hearing of employee, which was waived, or the executive council section part of it waived. The city council shall, after due consideration and deliberation, render a decision of suspension or dismissal. No further hearing shall be held, and the decision of the governing authority is final.
You conveniently leave out paragraph 1 there, because paragraph 1 says, an employee aggrieved by the results of the substance abuse testing procedure
And we don't know
shall
nothing, we
be
don't know
allowed to
anything.
appear before the Board of Aldermen. You conveniently skipped over that.
I didn't conveniently
Once
skip
that-
over it.
Yeah,
I
you just,
didn't-
you
no, I
intentionally
read it.
ignored it. That's right.
And don't you do what you want to do? Oh, okay.
I
then,
do
so
whatever the mayor tells me to do.
No, that's false.
In every instance, I do what Mayor Tim Riley directs me to do,
Okay,
at all times.
okay.
Yeah, so section 2-285, that considers that, you know, if an employee has a test result that is positive in nature and that the administration issues some type of penalty or punishment, that person has a right to due process to have that matter appealed to the council. So I think reference 2-285 relates to the due process rights of the employee to have this matter reheard by the council once the administration or the supervisor renders a punishment or penalty for violating the drug-free policy, which is this code is found in.
So put another way, Councilman, means what you just said has no application. Next. What's your next shot?
Janet, what's the action that you said been taken so far?
At this time, there has not been any action taken. Right.
Nothing by administration, nothing by the mayor, nothing.
Once we get the results of the testing, the mayor and I will have a meeting to discuss.
What happens when an employee has an accident and they're at fault? What, written warning, verbal, what do y'all do?
It depends on the situation. It just, depends on what they were doing when the wreck happened. Normally, the supervisor discusses it with me and the mayor, and then we decide what takes place.
Thank you.
What do you do when someone breaks the rule? Any employee, if they break the rule, what do you do? What's the protocol?
Well, it depends on what the rule is. If it's just something minor, that would get written up. If it's something that's worse than that, that it deems us to skip a few steps, they may be immediately suspended without pay. But each circumstance is different. It's hard to say everything is going to be just a written warning because some things require more discipline.
Okay, so this situation should be treated the same so far as discipline, because it is, like we said, an employee broke the rule.
So our next step will be getting the testing back, and I will meet with the mayor, and the mayor will decide what actions taken from there.
If I don't like it, I may appeal it to you guys.
Okay, the city council should have some say-so in this, I'm saying. So far as the discipline.
I think the council input would come if the mayor renders some form of punishment and the employee appeals to the council for any redress of any grievances that they may have as a result of that decision. Otherwise, the employee status or penalty for violating any employee policy or other rule remains strictly within the purview of the mayor himself.
So this is gonna be the mayor's decision, that's what you're saying?
Until such time that the employee appeals to the council for a rehearing of the disciplinary action rendered by the mayor or the administration.
Well, to my understanding, we have suspended other people.
When? You're wrong. I've never suspended anybody.
Really?
That's accurate.
Oh.
When did I suspend anybody?
I had a parent call me over the weekend
Well, tell me
that
about
I
it.
talked to.
You're
But they
wrong.
didn't call me.
They were
I
wrong.
called
You're
them after I
wrong.
heard about the
I would
situation.
refrain from talking about any specific employee-related matter in
I'm not calling
in
any
open
name.
forum.
I'm not calling any name, but I'm saying,
Nothing I have ever done here in 15 months has suspended anybody, any employee.
no, but you have put your input towards someone
My
being,
input at all times comes when Mayor Riley poses a question to me. Period. There is no discussion. That is how this administration works. When Mayor Riley asks for my opinion, I give it to him as honestly as I can. Every time. Every time.
well, Mayor Riley, as a city councilman, I'm demanding a stiff, very stiff penalty, because if an employee can be suspended from work or fired, then the same should happen to administration. It should be no exception. And I don't understand
I
that.
don't disagree, but you have yet to cite the rule that was broken.
The same rule apply, Wade.
What rule
The
is
same,
that?
same rule that you use with an employee apply to you.
And which rule is
Same
that?
rule.
And which rule is it?
The same rule you
That's a
use,
pretty-
the
that's a
same
pretty
rule
basic question.
administration use when they're addressing a regular employee. Same rule.
and I think
So
that
whatever
rule-
you're using,
I think that rule was applied.
it apply.
And the rule was applied, I believe, and it's yet to be done because we don't have the results of the drug test. And I will go on record as saying, I will accept whatever Mayor Riley decides my punishment should be, I'll accept it. And if you have a rule you'd like Mayor Riley to consider, why don't you tell him what rule you're referring to, and maybe he can analyze it, keeping in mind what you think the rule, the applicable rule is.
No, I'm saying there should be a penalty. If you break the law,
What law is
that
broken?
should be your penalty.
If I broke the law.
Wait, I'm not gonna sit here and go over and over with you again.
Which
okay.
which law was broken?
I told you.
No, you didn't. You didn't say which law was broken, or rule was applies. Which should be a pretty basic thing for a councilwoman to do when she comes in here and references a rule, the law, but cannot cite, provide the citation of what rule or law she's talking about. I think that's a pretty basic function of a councilwoman.
Where is very basic when you break the rule and you think you're above the rule. I mean, what applied to these employees should apply to you. That's
And it
all I'm
will.
saying.
And I have
And
every
it's no
confidence that it
reason,
will.
again, it's no reason we have to stand here and go over this over and over again.
I didn't call
If
the
I go
meeting,
pull
you
any
did.
of those employees back there for something they have broke, they're gonna be handled.
Well, I will ask City Clerk Keller, who was involved in the meeting we had the next morning, and can testify to this, that I asked at least 3 times, I want to be treated like any other employee.
And you will.
Is that correct, City Clerk?
Correct.
And I have every confidence that Mayor Riley will follow through on that. I hope that gives you some peace of mind.
You will.
I'm I'm gratified by that.
And like you say, if you're consulting with Mayor Riley on any other employee on discipline, then like I say, again, the same rule apply.
And I have every confidence that it will apply.
It should apply.
And I have every confidence that it will. And if you have any particular rule you'd like Mayor Riley to consider, I think it'd be beneficial to him to know which one you're talking about.
Well, normally, when someone do something wrong, there is a suspension. They either suspended or fired. I don't know what the mayor is gonna do. I don't know what he's gonna recommend.
It's not, my understanding, it's not a recommendation, it's a mayoral decision. Unless I want to appeal an adverse action based on what I'm reading here, the one that Councilman Turner omitted the first paragraph on, based on my reading of that, and I think it agrees with City Attorney Davis's interpretation, right? If I'm aggrieved by any mayoral decision, I have the right to come and petition this council, this body. And if I'm aggrieved by the decision I don't think is fair, I'll have to consider whether or not I want to apply this council for corrective action. Hopefully you give me a fair hearing.
You have one right now. We're having a discussion right now.
And it has been a vigorous discussion. I'm very happy to have been a part of it. Maybe we can clarify some of the haphazard application of the rules, because the rules that have been applied are not written down anywhere. I think every employee is entitled to have a written copy of what the rules are, instead of just haphazard application, whatever Councilman Boudreaux thinks is right. I think that'd be a better way to run a city.
You know, what I think's right way and what you think right is two different things. But if you would damage a city car, it should be immediately brought to attention of the mayor or whatever. You know, it's not your car.
Where does it say that?
It don't say that. It's the right thing to do, Wade. If I hit somebody, I'll call and tell my insurance, like I backed into somebody.
Yeah.
I damaged their car, I damaged my
And
car.
it was after hours, and I
Okay.
alerted Mayor Riley at about 6:45 the next morning. What we were gonna do at 6 o'clock that evening?
Well,
What
y'all
was that?
could have discussed it, and he could have come got you and brought you to get tested.
Where?
Why you didn't call him earlier? You say you waited till 6:45.
Mayor, may I explain why I did?
If you want,
It's up to you, Mayor. It implies some things that you went through that day.
totally up to you.
Mayor Riley was in doctor's appointments all day long that day, right? He came in at 4:45 that afternoon to sign something he had to sign so we could get it out to, I think it was DEQ. I knew the mayor had a long day. In my judgment, it was a very minor infraction. No injury suffered by the other vehicle, no damage to the other vehicle, who I alerted, right? But that gets into the hit and run aspects of this. And I have every confidence, after my dozen or so years as a criminal defense attorney, that will never result in a conviction, right? And I think I am entitled to my day in court on that one as well. But given what I knew Mayor Riley had endured that day, I thought it would be a lot easier and fair on him to alert him as early the next morning. As soon as I woke up the next morning, I called Mayor Riley and told him about it. I asked him when he was planning on being at City Hall, because when the mayor was going to get there, we need to sit down with the mayor, HR, Ms. McCrory, and Mr. Kelly. And that's what we did. As soon as the mayor arrived the next day, we all convened in the conference room. Now, that may not fit with your understanding of how whatever this unnamed rule you keep referring to should be applied, but that's how it was applied in the mayor's sound discretion.
Like I said, your input is considered for other employees.
When the mayor thinks it's useful, it is.
So when we consider other employees, we have to be fair. Fair is fair.
And Mayor Riley will be fair, I have no doubt about that.
And whatever is done needs to be on the level or above, since you're administrator.
And I have every confidence that Mayor Riley will fulfill that desire. I hope that gives you some comfort.
What gives me confidence knowing that it's going to be fair. Okay, I don't want to look at an employee that's have lost their job, or employee that's been on leave 1, 2, 3, 4 or longer with no pay.
I don't know how.
And then the same thing don't happen to you.
I have no idea how there's any analogous merit to that, because now you're talking about apples and bowling balls.
No,
How
I'm
does that
talking about,
relate to
I'm
a
talking about
minor
reality
accident
that
in the
has
parking lot of
actually
City
happened
Hall?
here on the payroll. That's reality.
It's a lot of things, but it ain't reality.
It's reality. It happened.
A lot of things happen. And when they're analogous, you have some, what Mr. Davis would call jurisprudential value. But there has to be some analogous nature of a prior accident. If you want us to talk about case law and stare decisis and what is binding precedent, you have to have some similarity to the past accident to the current. And what you described has nothing at all analogous, has in common with this, what happened, I think it was Tuesday evening in the parking lot. None. Zero
It has,
precedence.
it has everything to happen. Like I said, the rule was broken. You can't, you cannot,
Which rule?
the city has a protocol.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Can you cite where that protocol can be found? So
I just
so all
told
the
you, the
employees
same
know?
protocol these employee has,
And we-
you have. That's the protocol.
Right.
Like, just like what Kurt
You know
said.
what? It's found right here.
This has been a rule forever.
Is it found in here?
Forever
Where- is it
and
the
ever.
employee handbook?
And if one employee, if it applied to one employee, it applied to all employees. No
Okay.
one can be pulled from it. All employees.
What
And if you
exactly-
consider yourself an employee of the city of Gonzales, it applied to you.
While it's understandable that we know you can't cite the actual rule, can you actually kind of describe what the rule says?
Wait,
so
can
we
you,
all know?
can you cite to me what rule you are using?
Yeah, it's right here.
You
right here.
What
Two-
rule
280.
tell you can break the rule and it's okay?
We just read it. 2-284.1. We just read it. Not 15 minutes ago.
It's not saying that you can break a rule and it's okay.
Well, it says what it says, right? This is the rule, I would submit, I would argue, this is the rule. If you have another rule that you have in mind, give me the citation, maybe we can read that and discuss that rule.
Okay, all I'm asking, Mayor, when you make your decision, consult the city council. And like I say, I think Wade need to be treated as any other employee. I'm gonna say it again, I believe in fairness for the city of Gonzales, for these employees, and for this community that's looking at this situation.
I
And
can
as
live
a
with that,
leader,
Mayor.
I would hope that you would render a decision that's going to be,
Let me join with
Reasonable.
Councilwoman Gray James in urging you
It's
to do
Cynthia Gray
exactly
James.
what she just recommended, Mayor. Fairness and treat me like any other employee. We are in lockstep. I think we found some common ground, Councilwoman.
fairness is fairness.
Again, we agree.
Like I say, if it was me, this same thing would apply.
No objection.
Motion to
Now,
adjourn.
hold on, I got one other question. This one is Janet. Since it was an employee, I guess go to Mr. City Attorney also. With the employee that's in question, whereas the council never per se approved that position. Is that covered under our insurance still? Like how, like if a position has been created without, a new position be created without the council approval, and that employee has been paid and is driving a vehicle that's owned by the city, that's under our insurance, is that person covered by the insurance now? Or how does that work?
I'm gonna defer that to Mr. Davis.
The person is a employee of the city, whether or not the position was approved by council, that person is still considered an employee of the city of Gonzales. Furthermore, the vehicle that was involved in the accident is still covered under the city's liability, and I believe insurance coverage. So I believe the vehicle is still covered regardless of who may have been operating the vehicle.
It's through our self-insured policy.
It's a SR. Well, so you know the limits on that?
Thank you.
There are no applicable limits. We're self-insured. It means the city can decide to put the money up to fix the vehicle or not.
Yeah, some, you know, some
So there are no
jurisdictions,
limits.
yeah, some jurisdiction has a 50,000 SRR,
Yeah.
and then, you know, until,
And look, to be perfectly honest, I wish this hadn't happened, right? And I just tell Mayor Riley, I'm more than willing to pay for the damage, the minimal damage.
That's standard procedure. We don't normally let the employees pay for
Well,
a vehicle
I
once
know
it's
I'm
wrecked.
not required to, I just made the offer to Mayor Riley because I
Well, I
felt-
think we need to stick to the rule.
Which rule we talking
I
about
do
again?
sometimes. Sometimes my guys pay for the damage.
They pay for the damage.
Sometimes, if it's minor. In lieu of not being suspended.
Say that again.
In lieu of not being suspended.
So pay for your damage, and you won't be suspended.
Correct.
Is that written down anywhere, Chief, or that's just what you
That's my-
practice? Okay. Because I'd like to read it if it's written down.
No, it's not written.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I would assume that the mayor has similar discretion.
is that a question for me?
No, no, it's a declaration by me, an opinion stated by me.
Any further questions?
Again, Mayor, I think that we need to consider some type of penalty. That's my opinion.
Anything else?
Rule was broken.
A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Tyler.
You didn't have public comment. You didn't do the public comment.
Yeah, nobody wanted to announce it.
So we was here just for a discussion.